Weisinger here.
Gabriel here.
Janzak here.
Dilgy here.
Jumati here.
Dalton here.
Capel.
And also present are our zoning administrator, Lexi Dargowitz, our support specialist, Taylor Ochinsky, and our town attorney, Nick Flanagan. I would like to certify the posting of the meeting, please.
I certify that on Tuesday, August 6, 2024, the agenda for the Town of Rome Plan Commission meeting for Tuesday, August 13, 2024 was posted at the following locations: Rome Town Hall, 1111, Quick Trip LLC, 1117, Nakusa Port Edward State Bank, 1127 a.m., posted on the Town of Rome website on 8/6/2024, email to the Wisconsin Rapids Tribune on 8/2/2024, and legal notice published in the Wisconsin Rapids Tribune on 7/30/2024 and 8/6/2024.
Okay, I would like a motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
I'll second it.
Motion to approve the agenda made by Lori and seconded by Paul. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The agenda's approved. Citizen comments. Do we have any citizen comments?
We did not receive citizen comments.
You got one right in front of you.
This
was-
is for an agenda item. We didn't receive any non-agenda item
Okay.
comments.
So, then I don't read that citizen comment portion of the.
Hey,
Okay, I'm just gonna read A. The commission will also take comment from the public on agenda items as called by the chair, but not during citizen comment. Please note that once the commission begins discussion on an agenda item, no further comment will be allowed from the public on that issue. No action contemplated except possible referral to the future agenda. Information updates, recent correspondence, current events, announcements. Do we have any of those items from anyone here?
I
Just
have. Go ahead, Bill.
just if nobody's already gone to the polls, today is a primary election day, please go out and vote.
Polls close at 7. 8.
Eight.
You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll be quick. There's one event coming up on Tuesday, August 20th. Papa Bear's Mini Golf has donated its golf course to the Adams County Humane Society. We are still looking for golfers. You can sign up for the event on Visit Rome website under the online store. It is $20 to participate. All proceeds do get turned over to the Adams County Humane Society. There will be food trucks there also at 5 o'clock. Shotgun start happens at 6:30. Rain or shine.
I need that back. Thanks. All right, and then I have just a few, please. All right, this one is for Lake Sherwood Lodge. They're having a customer appreciation barbecue along with a support for the Adams County Humane Society raffle as well. That's on Saturday, August 24th, from 2 to 6 p.m. with raffle drawings, cash prizes, and so forth. Did you want to add on yours that you're having that gathering, that blanket out front for donations for golfers that don't want to play?
Yeah, as we've heard,
Mention that?
no, I didn't. I forgot about that small fact. As we've all heard of Fill the Bus, we're having Fill the Tarp. So if you don't want to participate golfing or anything, you can still feel free to stop by and drop off dog food, cat food, Clorox wipes. They're looking for cleaning supplies and animal food, even some cat toys, dog toys. They can pretty much use anything that somebody's willing to donate. So we're gonna have a Fill the Tarp instead of Fill the Bus. Thank you, Lori.
Yep. And then I also have, if you haven't yet, we are taking input for the Rome Town Center Park Master Concept Plan. At the beginning of the town board meeting this coming Thursday, you're invited to participate. Come in here with Parks and Rec, and the town board members are going to hear from Rain Gardner, who is the professional engineer with MSA, who has helped us design the park since the beginning when we got our first legacy grant for the splash pad. They've come back with the support of the town board and others to help us reimagine some of the play areas and family areas around the new band shell. But there is a survey that you can also take and put in your input, just some simple, there's about 6 or 7 questions. Just give us some of your ideas on some of the concepts that they've brought forth, and go out to Survey Monkey and do that. So these posters are around town. The plan is out on the table in the front lobby. It's at the library. And there are some smaller flyers out on the front table when you leave the building. So if you could take that, and we'll be taking input on that for a while yet too. That doesn't end on Thursday, so. But if you can go and fill that out, that would be really helpful to us as well. We're looking at items to start building up the park and adding to that family social area that draws people in that are small dollar, high impact items. So if you can participate, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other announcements or anything?
I have nothing.
Okay. Then I would like to open the public hearing. Did you want to do one more thing?
I forgot. It's okay.
Okay. Consideration of the issuance of a conditional use permit for the following purpose. The short-term rental at the property located at 355 15th Avenue, owned by Dominica and Arkadios. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do well. Zaradnichik? Really? Thank you. Also described as Lot 3 of Certified Survey Map 3110, located in part of the southwest 1/4, northwest 1/4, and northwest 1/4, southwest 1/4 of Section 13, and the southeast 1/4, northeast 1/4, and northeast 1/4, southeast 1/4 of Section 14, Town 20 North, Range 5 East, Town of Rome, Adams County, Wisconsin, with a parcel number of 03002010020. And you have something to add to that, Lexi.
Dominica and Arcadius Zaradnick have submitted a short-term rental license application and conditional use permit for the property located at 355 15th Ave, requesting use for the 2024-2025 season that ends on June 30th, 2025. Letters were sent to 18 property owners within 200 feet of the affected property. The Plan Commission places conditions on CUPs issued for short-term rentals that will set the maximum occupancy and maximum number of vehicles allowed on the property based on the standards found in Town Code Chapter 23461. Staff recommends a maximum occupancy of 14 and a maximum vehicles of 7 to be parked on hard surfaces, not on the lawn, grass at the property. The applicant has completed all the license requirements, including a property manager within 25 miles on record with the town.
We also did receive a letter from one of the neighbors saying that they would like to voice their concern for this to be granted. And that would be on file. Is there anyone here that's here for the property, representing the property? Would you like to come up and give us a little synopsis of what you would like to do and what you're proposing with the short-term rental?
So we would like to just supplement our income while we're not here, but we do come up here quite often.
And you have a property manager
Yes.
okay, and that person is within 25 miles
Yes.
and readily available 24/7?
Absolutely. We use the Vacasa company. And then Tammy, I do not have the last name, but I can give you the contact information for Tammy.
Well, you would have that information, correct? It's with the town?
Everything should be on the application.
I can double check, but I'm pretty sure it should be, yeah. If it was under Vacasa, then yeah, we would have it, yep.
Okay. There are 3 bathrooms in this property? 3 bathrooms?
And a half.
2.5?
3 full,
3 full?
2, 3, and then like just a toilet.
Okay, and then they're saying that the occupancy would be 14.
I'm sorry, there's 4. There's 2 upstairs. I'm sorry. There's 4 bathrooms, 2 upstairs. And then, yes, so 4.5. I'm sorry.
Okay.
See, the drawing doesn't specifically say
Yeah.
what type of bathrooms they are. See, before when we were getting a little bit more information, some were saying it was just a little bit too much, and then we weren't getting some information, but,
In the town code for short-term rentals, it doesn't specify whether it has to be a full or a half in order for it to count.
correct. But it does help us sometimes make a decision as to, you know, that we appreciate internal staff's efforts in making those, we do appreciate the work you do in making those decisions as to the occupancy and,
I have my little note on there too that specifies the bathrooms and bedrooms, all that's a little
I'm
hard to
sorry.
read. On this page, I have all my notes with my calculations on there. It's a little bit hard to read.
I was having a little bit of a
Yeah.
problem reading that.
no, and back to what Taylor was saying, no, I appreciate what she's saying, it is in code that way, and they make the determination, we appreciate their efforts in doing that, I didn't want them to think that we don't in any way, but we had it was brought up to us numerous times in past meetings that bathrooms sometimes get overusage if there's too many people, so people wanted us to be aware of that too, so.
It also looks like it's all concrete driveway, and the parking is for 7, but it does look like it could support more than 7. So is there specification why we just have 7? I know it's 14, so that's 2 per car.
It's just in code that way. It's supposed to be like one vehicle for every two.
For every 2 people? Okay, just wanted to verify that as well.
I think ATVs and boats like we've discussed in the past too, there's room for that.
Right,
So they don't end up on the roads.
There was one ATV there. Any other,
Yes. Question.
yes,
Are there 2 exits from the lower level, from the basement? Are there 2 ways of getting out of that lower level?
Yes. Well, one is,
Like a stairwell that goes up and then a door
Stairwell.
that goes to the outside?
and then there is, what do you call those?
Egress windows? Egress?
Yes.
Okay.
You.
I couldn't always remember that term either, even though we had 2 of them.
anyone else have any other questions? Is there anyone here that would like to speak on this issue, or? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next item. Consideration of the issuance of a conditional use permit for the following purpose: the short-term rental at the property located at 605 16th Avenue, owned by Christy and Jared Steinel, also described as Lot 45 of Hampton Court addition to Lake Arrowhead, located in the northeast 1/4, Section 34, Town 20 North, Range 5 East, Town of Rome, Adams County, Wisconsin, with a parcel number of 030-03036-0000. Lexi?
Christy and Jerry Steindl have submitted a short-term rental license application and conditional use permit for the property located at 605 16th Ave, requesting use for the 2024-2025 season that ends on June 30th, 2025. Letters were sent to 10 property owners within 200 feet of the affected property. The Plan Commission places conditions on the CUPs issued for STRs that will set maximum occupancy and maximum number of vehicles allowed on the property. Based on the standard found in Town Code Chapter 23461, staff recommends a maximum occupancy of 6 and maximum vehicles of 3 to be parked on hard surfaces, not on the lawn grass at the property. The applicant has completed all license requirements, including a property manager within 25 miles on record with the town.
Okay, thank you. Is there someone here would you like to also come forward and tell us a little bit about it?
Well, we just bought our second home, and we are just hoping to share our home with people and help supplement income.
And you also have a property manager? Are you the property managers, or?
So we have someone up here that is up here for emergencies or whoever.
We would manage it ourselves.
Correct.
Okay.
As far as manage, what do you,
Well, someone that would be available 24/7 should something arise that,
Yep.
Okay,
But when you say you'd manage it yourself,
So we have someone available within 25 miles.
okay.
Yes.
But we live farther than that away, but we do have somebody available for assistance.
What's the name of the company you're using or the person you're using?
Michelle Peterson.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yes.
do any of the commissioners have any questions of them? Anyone in the audience that would like to address or come? No? Okay, thank you. Oh. I did have a question with the description of the property. It was this 28 Series Lexington. Are you only utilizing one of the levels for?
One level.
Yeah, there's only one level.
So the other two, which is why they're not applicable to this property at all? Okay, that was, thank you. All right. The next item. Too much paper. Consideration of the issuance of a conditional use permit for the following purpose. The short-term rental at the property located at 553 Feather Trail, owned by Corey and Marianne Chardukian, also described as Lot 36 of Penwood addition to Lake Arrowhead, located in the northeast 1/4, southeast 1/4, Section 27, Town 20 North, Range 5 East, Town of Rome, Adams County, Wisconsin, with a parcel number of 030-03749-0000. Lexi?
Corey and Marianne Chardukin have submitted a short-term rental license application and conditional use permit for the property located at 553 Feather Trail, requesting use for the 2024-2025 season that ends on June 30th, 2025. Letters were sent to 10 property owners within 200 feet of the affected property. The Plan Commission places conditions on CUPs issued for STRs that will set maximum occupancy and maximum number of vehicles allowed on the property, based on the standards found in Town Code Chapter 234-61. Staff recommends a maximum occupancy of 5 and a maximum vehicles of 3 to be parked on hard surfaces, not on the lawn, grass, at the property. The applicant has completed all license requirements, including a property manager within 25 miles on record with the town.
Thank you. Is there someone here representing the property? Yes, thank you. Hi,
Hi, how are you?
good, how are you?
Good.
So you are Corey?
I am Corey, yes.
Corey, okay. And do you live in the property, or you planning on just renting it
It's
out?
my property across the
Okay,
street, yeah. So I'm at
Okay.
548 Feather and it's 553 Feather.
Okay,
Sure, I'm gonna supplement my income, but it works out good for a short-term rental right across the street. My manager's 2 houses down, Glenn Peterson, so, it's a just under 1,000 square foot mobile entrance in the front and a door in the back, so a standard mobile, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, so it's
and, well, obviously your property manager lives real close,
Yeah.
within 25 miles, okay. All right, do any of the commissioners have any additional questions for Corey at all?
Get the deer to pose for the picture.
Did you see
Yeah,
that?
that was nice.
So obviously I took that from across the street of my property that I live in, so but yeah, the deer was there, yeah, so. No animals were hurt in that photo, so, but,
We'll take your word for it.
yeah, so.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak with regard to this issue? Okay, if you would like to come up to the podium and then please state your name and then,
Hi, my name is Leonard Shank, and my wife Jan is with me tonight. We had the fortune of building a brand-new home this spring right next door to the subject property. We chose this location because of its quiet neighborhood location and character. As you can understand, building a new house, having an investment, and so forth, we have some concerns and reservations about a short-term rental located right next to us. I realize that, you know, the granting of the conditional use, it's granted by the state and so forth. We're not necessarily against it. It's, today, we want to voice our concerns and reservations. Namely, how this operation will negatively impact our rights as a homeowner. First, we want to feel safe and secure. We don't want to have to worry about the character of the renter from week to week. We happen to be full-time seasonal occupants. We're not up just for the weekends. We spend 6 months up here. We're also concerned about how the operation will affect our right to quiet and peaceful enjoyment of our property. I want to take this opportunity to you. I have a lot of experience, 25 years in the government regulatory, so I know what this is all about and how it operates. So I want to thank you, the panel, and the town, and the program director for enacting rules that regulate this industry. We feel that your program addresses many potential problems we might encounter. Expectations. We trust that the operator, Corey, will exercise due diligence when renting the unit and, while rented, enforce rules actively by policing occupancy levels, parking, noise, trespassing, vandalism, or any other infraction. These are concerns, and they're legitimate concerns for us. Likewise, we trust that the town will rigorously enforce the rules if a complaint is filed, and take the complaint seriously. I don't relish the role of being a policeman, because I know that you don't have the resources to make sure that things are being followed. We're up here 6 months. We're going to see a lot. I don't want to have to be the policeman and make complaints and, you know, complain about this and that. They're not going to be frivolous. If there is a complaint filed by us, it's going to be warranted and justified. These were prepared notes. I do have some concerns. Now, you do realize this is a single wide trailer that he's proposing. We just put in a double wide, little about the same size. There isn't a whole lot of room in these places. And for the safety of public and whatnot, I really think 5 occupants is too much for a single wide trailer. I know that you're basing it on bathrooms but it's bedrooms really. And they have to be designated as bedrooms as I read the rules. So I do have concerns there. I think 5 is a little bit on the high side. And as far as the parking, you know, I guess 3 would fit on the gravel driveway. So in closing, I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to express our concerns and expectations. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
I don't have any questions.
Nothing?
No.
Okay.
I just have a comment. You may want to stay around this afternoon and learn how we do police the short-term rentals. There's going to be a presentation.
Oh, okay.
For host compliance, we're going to have a presentation on how that works and how our neighbors can address issues that are going on.
Okay.
and how to utilize that system that's in place right now.
Okay, is that right here in this?
It's gonna be
It's
right,
right
it's
at-
part of the
it's
meeting.
part of this
Part of the
meeting.
meeting, okay, yeah,
Mhm.
we probably will stick around then. Okay, so that's our concerns and expectations, and
Okay.
thank you for your time.
There's another portion of the meeting though, too, so that this
I'll
property
wait.
will come up again, right?
Okay.
Corey? Do you have a vetting process that you're going to be utilizing with regard to the rental of the property?
Yeah, I'd be using the Airbnb site on that for the vetting of that, so.
And their recommendations, and they'll be checking and,
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
and you will be across the street, correct?
Yeah, I mean, that's not my permanent
Oh,
residence, okay? So, I mean, I come up all year. I've been up here for over 25 years. So I've taken care of my properties. I'm probably more stricter than anybody would be in regards to that.
What is the age of this property that you're proposing to use as a short-term rental, do you know?
Don't quote me, but 2007 maybe, somewhere in that. We could go back to the records and look, but I could be off on that. I think every neighbor should have a concern. I really believe that's their right, and I really believe that there should be a concern. I understand. I've been coming up for 25 years. I love the area. I want to promote the area. You know, there's in regards to places to stay. There's lots of people that want to visit because what we have is so beautiful, and I don't see. So let's make space for people that want to see it, that want to take it in, that want to go for hikes and bike rides and whatever, snowmobiling, hunting, you know. I mean, we got something special here. I don't know why we can't share it with others, and if we don't have the room for them, let's try to make room for them. That could promote other things in regards to somebody falling in love with it, like Len and their family did. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter where they're from, but you know, when I came here 25 years ago, I fell in love with it, and making the 3-hour trip, it's the journey, it's the destination too. And
What's the square footage on this, the total square footage on the unit? Like, if we added up all of the space, not just the bedrooms and the living room, for calculating the number of occupants? Do you have that figure by chance?
Isn't it this one?
That's what I'm wondering. I'm not sure that's the 593.75. Is that what you're looking at? I think that's just for the bedrooms and the living room.
No, as for all the livable space that we've used for calculations, and then you have to take away 150 for like the first person, then from there you get everyone else. So total livable space was 593.75.
That's for the 2 bedrooms and the living room. The total, okay, but for kitchen, bath, closet, I mean, the total square footage of that entire unit, we don't have that figure.
No, I don't
Okay,
calculate all
all right.
that. I'm
Thank
sorry.
you. No, that's okay. I was just wondering, because I didn't see it on the drawing, and thank you. Thank you.
thank you.
Any other questions from the commissioners? Okay. The next item the next item, consideration of the removal of short-term rental conditional use permit for the following properties due to 12 months of inactivity. 344 13th Drive, 386 Lancer Court, 656 17th Drive, and 1343 Bogey Trail. Lexi?
The property is located at 344 13th Drive, 386 Lancer Court, 656 17th Drive, and 1343 Bogey Trail have all been granted CUPs for short-term rentals in the past. They have not renewed their STR licenses for 12 months or longer. Their CUPs may be revoked and terminated per Town Ordinance Section 36027 and 3B. This item was in the public hearing notice. All of the listed CUP holders have received a letter, copy included in the packet, explaining that the CUP would be removed if their STR license was not renewed. 51 property owners within 200 feet of the affected properties were notified.
Is there anyone here that would like to come forward and give an opinion on this here? Okay, no. Okay, commissioners, anything? Nothing? Okay. Then I would like to close the public hearing. Motion?
I'll move that we close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made by Lori to close the public hearing, seconded by Paul. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The public hearing is closed. Discuss and possible action on the following items. Discussion and possible action, meeting minutes from Tuesday, July 9th, 2024. We want a motion, because I do
I'll
have a
move
couple of
approval.
things.
And then I have some corrections.
Okay.
I'll second the motion for discussion.
Okay, there's been a motion to approve by Bill, seconded by Lori. Do we have any discussion? Bill?
I just have on item A, 7 on the opening of the public hearing, the last paragraph under A, Commissioner Capel questions if the property owner is rent the boat. That's, the grammar needs to be changed.
Rents the
If the
boat?
property owner is rent the boat is what it says now. I believe it should say something like, if the property owner was renting the boat with the property is what I was trying to get across. And then on page 5 of 6, the third paragraph down, Commissioner Gabriel asked Commissioner Dolge why she wouldn't go to the committee. I believe that was Commissioner Gabriel asked Commissioner Jamadi.
Correct.
And then I just had a question about, on page 6, second major paragraph, where it says Attorney Flanagan. Was it Chairwoman Dolge that suggested Baker, or was it Lori Jamadi? I didn't remember who did it. Was it you?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I just had a question, so that's it.
I have a question also with regard to page 1 of 6, roll call. Oh, wait, yes. Where it talks about the property managers being there. Did we not get the name of the property manager for items 7B and 11? That we weren't able to add that into the minutes? And are they signing in as they're speaking, or?
There is a sign-in sheet up there for when they speak, otherwise the sign-in sheet is here too.
Yeah, but not all of them sign in, I don't think.
So should we remind people as they're coming up that they need to sign in? Okay. Do we have the names of those?
Are you asking for the property manager to be named there?
Yes.
Because I think that one was Michelle Peterson. I believe that's who that was, so.
Yeah.
I believe it was also.
Okay.
I believe she came up with that.
Anything else?
Yeah,
Heather, or?
I had a few things.
Okay, go ahead.
One, on the first page, page 2 of 6, under paragraph, let's see, where it says Commissioner Jamadi clarifies that the Plan Commission can't get into personal matters, not so much personal matters, but, association matters between, if you just take the word personal out, because get into matters between a homeowners association and a homeowner due to a fractional share. I think it would read better because it's not a personal matter. What I had stated, and I recall stating, is that it's not a personal matter, that the plan commission cannot get into matters between a homeowners association and a homeowner due to their fractional ownership, or a fractional share of ownership. That's what I stated. So, the personal matters is just a little bit different than what I had stated, but I think I'd like that clarified a little better. If maybe you could re-listen to that and what I had stated, or how we could correct that. What would be the proper way to correct that, Nick? Or,
Just as you're asking.
Just
as long
taking
as-
out the personal matter.
So,
Take
as
out-
long as after everybody's input, then I
Okay.
think the
So if
chairwoman
you
will
take-
want to make sure that the motion and second are
Okay.
agreeable to all the.
if you would take out personal matters between a homeowners or take out personal and just say matters between a homeowners association and a homeowner
Period.
based on fractional, I did say fractional ownership. I did say fractional ownership.
You may have said that, but that, as a homeowner, you own not, you don't necessarily own a fractional ownership,
Of the beach clubs, they do.
not of Lake Arrowhead.
I was
We're
just gonna,
not talking like, but we're talking,
Well, as a general,
well, then just cross off personal and it'll,
I think that would be
Nick is-
sufficient. That should be good.
it's not what I wanted to change it to though, so.
Well, then-
It's,
Put what you want. But a fractional interest does not correlate to the homeowners association at Lake Arrowhead. But if you only wanted to specifically deal with the
personal
the
matter.
beach clubs at Camelot, that would be fine, but that would not be applicable to a Lake Arrowhead ownership.
So then take out the word personal then. That would improve it.
Anything else?
If you go to page, let's see. No, I lost my place and now I can't find it, so it doesn't matter.
Anybody else? Okay, Bill, did you want to amend your motion?
I'll amend my motion to include the changes that we've discussed. Do I need to be more specific?
That's all right, but then so there was a second by Commissioner Janati.
Correct.
Yes.
And I'll amend my second to include those corrections.
Okay, so a motion's been made by Bill to approve the minutes with the changes that were indicated. And Lori has seconded. Any more discussion?
Yes,
All-
I just want to clarify further that when I did make that statement, it wasn't specifically to Lake Arrowhead, but for purposes of these minutes, because it does, it is in correlation to, Lake Camelot. I do want to just clarify again that it is a fractional ownership.
Okay, so,
I will leave it as a personal matter and take the word personal out, and I amend my second to Bill's motion.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Minutes are approved. Okay, discussion and possible action. Consideration of the issuance of a conditional use permit for the following purpose. The short-term rental at the property located at 355 15th Avenue, owned by Dominica and Arcadius I did it right the first time, right? Zaradanich, also described as Lot 3 of Certified Survey Map 3110, located in part of Southwest 1/4, Northwest 1/4, and Northwest 1/4, Southwest 1/4 of Section 13, and the Southeast 1/4, Northeast 1/4, and Northeast 1/4, Southeast 1/4 of Section 14, Town 20 North, Range 5 East, Town of Rome, Adams County, Wisconsin, with a parcel number of 03000200020.
Madam Chair, just a reminder to the commission, the next three have findings of fact, so if you can consider
Do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the conditional use permit for short-term rental on the property at 355 15th Avenue with the findings of fact as included.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made by Jerry, and seconded by, Tom to approve the conditional use permit for the short-term rental of 355 15th Avenue. Any discussion? I have a couple of questions with regard to the application itself. G1 is shown as the zoning, it should be LD, I believe. And then in the findings of fact, the application that was filed and received, it says 6/24/2024. And I've been noticing that on the other findings, that the received date is the date that is shown where the applicant has signed it, but the actual date where office use, where it says date received, is 7/2/24. So are we utilizing the wrong date on our findings of fact? And that's on all three of the findings, I noticed.
It should either say received or submitted. If it's received, then it would be the upper right-hand corner. So it should just be adjusted one way or the other.
So can we amend the findings showing that the date received is the actual receipt date, or should we amend the findings showing that the application was dated?
When was it received? Received on 7/2?
7/2/24.
Should be the date then.
Okay. So with the incorporation of the findings in fact, would we like to make an amendment saying with the change to the date received of 7/2/24?
I'll amend my motion to include change of date received.
I will second that motion.
Okay, the motion's been amended to approve the conditional use permit, changing the findings of fact to date received of 7/2/24, seconded by Tom. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And the permit's approved. Discussion and possible action, consideration of the issuance of a conditional use permit for the following purpose. The short-term rental at the property located at 605 16th Avenue, owned by Christy and Jared Steindl, also described as Lot 45 of Hampton Court, addition to Lake Arrowhead, located in the northeast one quarter, section 34, town 20 north, range 5 east, town of Rome, Adams County, Wisconsin, with a parcel number of 03003036000.
Madam Chair, I'll move the approval of a conditional use permit for the property at 605 16th Avenue to incorporate the findings of fact as stated in the record.
I'll second that motion.
Want to change the date received? Correct.
And including the date received changed to 6/27/24.
And Heather, you second?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we have a motion by Bill to approve the issuance of a conditional use permit for the short-term rental property located at 605 16th Avenue, amending the findings, incorporating the findings of fact, but amending the date received to 6/27/24, seconded by Heather. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discussion and possible action, a consideration of the issuance of a conditional use permit for the following purpose. The short-term rental at the property located at 553 Feather Trail, owned by Corey and Marianne Chardukian, also described as Lot 36 of Penwood, addition to Lake Arrowhead, located in the northeast one quarter, southeast one quarter, section 27, town 20 north, range 5 east, town of Rome, Adams County, Wisconsin, with the parcel number of 030-037-490000.
I'll make a motion to approve the conditional use permit for short-term rental on the property at 553 Feather Trail with the findings of fact as stated, with a date received changed to 7/18/24.
I'll second that.
A motion's been made by Jerry, seconded by Tom, to approve the conditional use permit for the short-term rental of the property located at 553 Feather Trail, incorporating the findings of fact with the change showing the date of receival of 7/18/24. Any discussion?
Yes. I would like to discuss the maximum occupancy of 5. Based on the size of this, although, everything that we have before us allows a maximum occupancy of 5. Based on the structure and size of this unit and the layout of the unit, I am concerned with that size, that allowance, and I think it should be limited to 4. With only, I think it should be limited to 4.
I think we have to use the same calculation on all the short-term rentals, and if that's the calculation, I think that we should stay with the 5.
I agree.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
I'll abstain.
We have one abstention. Motion is carried. Discussion and possible recommendation to, just a second, I have to make a note. To the town board, consideration of the removal of short-term rental conditional use permit for the following properties due to 12 months of inactivity: 344 13th Ave Drive, 386 Lance Court, 656 17th Drive, and 1343 Bogey Trail.
Madam Chair, since no one has appeared, and I believe we have had no communication from any of these 4, I will move that we forward to the board a recommendation that the short-term rental conditional use permit for the properties at 344 13th Drive, 386 Lance Court, 656 17th Drive, and 1343 Bogey Trail be canceled or removed.
I will second that.
There's been a motion by Bill to forward the recommendation to the town board that the properties, 344 13th Drive, 386 Lance Court, 656 17th Drive, and 1343 Bogey Trail be removed of their conditional use permits due to inactivity over the last 12 months. Any discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we will have a presentation by our zoning administrator, Lexi, about host compliance, which gives everyone an opportunity to see how the reporting agency is helping us and what you can do as neighbors to help keep our neighborhood.
Yeah, I think so. Let's start without it, it's fine. Alright, so during the June 11th, 2024 Plan Commission meeting, the use of host compliance, how staff monitors short-term rentals, how reports are handled, and what to do if there is a rental in violation of ordinance was a big topic of discussion. So then I'm gonna do a brief presentation discussing the Granicus host compliance software the town uses to monitor short-term rentals.
Looks like my TV when it doesn't work.
Maybe.
Should let the people in the audience see that too.
That's kind of hard for everybody to see, but we'll try. So if anybody else wants to move to the other side of the room, if you can't see from back there.
So what is Host Compliance? Host Compliance is a software created by tech company Granicus to help towns, villages, and cities monitor short-term rentals in their municipalities. It's able to monitor hundreds of short-term rental sites to ensure everyone who is running a short-term rental is doing so properly. Host Compliance can help reduce any negative impacts on community character and safety with powerful tools that locate property listings and owners, and it can educate hosts who have received complaints and violations. So why Host Compliance? Without strategic regulation and effective enforcement, short-term vacation rentals can bring safety, noise, trash, and parking problems, as well as impact long-term housing affordability, livability, and neighborhood character. With hundreds of sites made to post short-term rentals, it's incredibly difficult for staff to manually track all the STRs to ensure they are following town ordinances. Host Compliance makes it easy for homeowners to make reports with their 24/7 hotline. You're able to report at any time. The reports are easier for staff to then monitor. It is also easier to hold non-compliant hosts accountable. So the reporting process, when you make a report through Host Compliance, it goes into an email monitored by several staff members. Host Compliance will contact the property owners for corrections. Staff will also investigate and take action on the reports. If the report is non-emergency or a nuisance report, it should be completed through Host Compliance. If you believe someone is breaking the law, make a report to the police department. And again, if there is an emergency, someone's actions are creating danger, or someone is doing illegal activities, call 911. So what is a violation? Most importantly, it's important to know that if it's apparent that property owners are being targeted or mass reported by a property by another property owner without a reasonable cause, it will not count against their CUP or STR license. Reports should be for real violations and should not be fabricated. If a violation is found to be fabricated, it will not be counted against the STR. So a nuisance violation can include behaviors or situations that disrupt the peace, quiet, or reasonable enjoyment of their neighboring properties. These can include things like excessive noise, unruly guests, or activities that interfere with the neighborhood's tranquility. If a property owner gets 5 nuisance violations, they'll be at risk of losing their STR license or CUP. And if they get
5?
3. It's 3 police
Okay.
verified. My bad.
But 5, you're saying 5 nuisance.
Yes,
Okay.
but yes, it's 5 police ones. They'll get put into the next meeting to get their license pulled. And it's always best to practice being a good neighbor in these situations. Often nuisance situations can be resolved swiftly when you behave neighborly to a property owner or guest of a short-term rental. So other information to know is the town cannot take action on an STR who is in violation of local ordinances if it's not reported. It is not feasible for us to track and monitor all guests of STRs. We rely on you as homeowners to make reports when appropriate. The process does not stop after a report is made. There are several things that staff have to do to verify and validate the report. Making a report does not automatically mean the property is in violation. The report lets us know that we need to investigate. A report may not always result in a violation. If a violation is found, you as a reporter will not be informed. While it might seem like nothing is being done, a violation will be between the STR and the town. STRs are handled between several departments, including zoning and building, clerk treasurer, fire and police, and we work together to ensure safety in the community with those who will be staying as guests in the property. Just a quick overview. Host Compliance is a tool used by the staff of the town to monitor short-term rentals within Rome. It helps staff ensure that owners are being responsible with rentals and helps to hold them accountable. The software is also here to help you as a property owner make reports when you feel a violation of local laws and ordinances are occurring. Host Compliance is used to monitor STRs. With their 24/7 hotline, homeowners are able to provide reports that staff can look into. Staff monitor incoming reports and take necessary action to try and resolve reports as they come in. Just because a report is made does not mean action will be taken against an STR or that an STR is in violation of local laws and ordinances. Reports should be real. Fabrication about events or the extent of a situation will not be held against the STR. Any situation where a crime is occurring or there is an emergency, 911 should be called. And as always, just be neighborly. Most of the problems that happen with STRs can be resolved by walking across the street and telling your neighbor, hey, just so you know, this wasn't cool. Okay. Questions? Yes?
What's the number for host compliance?
I don't have it on here.
No.
Yep, I'm getting it. We're getting it. Everyone who is by a short-term rental, they do get the number mailed to them when they get notified that they're coming to Plan Commission.
Yeah, but the neighbors need it too.
Yep.
I always thought we should get it out there.
Oh, yeah, we can get it out there too.
Well, right, I was gonna ask Lexi if you couldn't put this online with the short-term rental, and then you'll put it in with the application even, and then you could put that on our news and notices. Taylor's doing an excellent job of updating our website, and then the phone number could be out there with the presentation as well.
I'm working on something right now for short-term rentals and Plan Commission and stuff like that for the future to give to them that has, numbers, links, all that for host compliance.
Right.
But
with
it's
your
still-
presentation here, that would be great if we can just get it on news and, some update out there on the web and on, that would be great with the number.
The
I mean,
number,
I can get it
the
eventually.
number is 715-504-6244.
504.
504-6244.
And I noticed on our town website, and you're doing a lot of work with regard to that, the only place I was able to find anything with regard to host compliance that I was able, was under clerk treasurer, which is very difficult to find. In my opinion, it's not easily accessible unless you do the search for it, because there's nothing on the main page or anything, and I know there's a lot of people that would probably like quicker findability, would that be the word? Something to that effect, right on the first page, like we have the zoning hub is on the first page, something so that the citizens would have it easier accessibility to finding that information.
Yep, I can put it on there.
And then host compliance, when you were talking about on the third page, where it makes it easy for homeowners to make reports. And now the homeowners are the people that we generally send out all of the letters to within a certain month.
Yep.
Do you send anything at the time with regard to host compliance to
Yep.
those? Okay.
One of the letters is host compliance, basically entirely of talks about Granicus, how that works, how reporting works. And then the other letter is about CUPs, and then there's one about the actual ordinance.
So we send out Act 67, and then there is a letter that says short-term rental 24/7, hotline information service provided by host compliance, and that is probably hard for you to see from here, but it gives the letter of what host compliance is, the phone number, the contact information, and everybody within 200 feet of that proposed short-term rental gets all of that. They get 3 different documents, including the agenda.
Great.
Is the packet online, correct? So if people wanted to see what's in the packet for a short-term rental, they could see
Yep.
what's required? So if you go out to a short-term rental permitting process and people wanna know, they could see the documents that are required and what's supplied
And
to
that's
an
kind of
applicant.
that's kind of what Lexi and I are going through and making. She was talking about with the storyline. Then everybody, it'll just be for every month. It'll go through. We're gonna test it in December, start it in January to go through, and then everything will be online moving forward. So everybody can view all 3 of those. It's kind of a cool story, little map that she has. You can click on the property and
If you want to check it out, you can visit me after the meeting, and I'll show you what I have so far.
I have a question. That's a nationwide service, or is it just Wisconsin?
It's
software?
nationwide, I believe. I believe it might even be global, but I know for sure it serves all of the United States.
Okay, and then each region has their own number, so.
Yep.
The 715 for here.
yeah, and it's a 24/7 hotline.
Okay. And it's something that we have to pay for as a city, correct?
Yes.
So there's a value added there.
asking a question is I've had someone come to me and say, he has a short-term rental next door to him, and they're renting it to 3 different parties within 6 days, which is not allowed by the rental. The rental for short-term has to be a minimum of 6 days.
So every time it
it's
comes
just-
through and there's a complaint that's received, Wendy will get the complaint, and then it goes through, and then we document for how many there are. If there's specific, it
Okay,
tells you
so
who called,
he
what
needs
they
to call
complained
and
about.
complain, and that's what I
Yep.
tell him. He needs to call in his complaint when that's happening.
Yep,
And
you can
get
do it,
get
online, there's also an online portal that you can click on for host compliance, and I've actually tested it out. You go on and you say what you're complaining about, what the problem is, and then you can do it anonymously, so, and then it gets reported to Wendy.
I tried it a couple of days ago because of someone that approached me with regard to short-term rentals, and it's basically the same thing that Bill had. Now, they did not know if it was in fact, they thought it was a short-term rental, but they weren't sure, so I went to host compliance. And it could be family members that are coming in and out, and, you know, you don't know, but when you go to host compliance, you put in the address, you're just given an opportunity to make a complaint. There's no way to determine if in fact this is a short-term rental. There's no information with regard to property managers where you could be able to contact a property manager or even the owner of the property so it doesn't escalate or they don't really want to make a formal complaint. Are there any other options available rather than just, is there something that the town can give to someone about, how do they find out if there's a property manager and who to contact, rather than go through host compliance? Because they don't want to squeal, and I hear this all the time, I don't want to turn in my neighbors, I don't want to do that. But they would like to resolve the situation.
It's kind of difficult because if they're not willing to want to put an actual report in, there's not very much we can do. Because regardless, if we get a report and we investigate it, they're going to get informed that we're investigating it. So realistically, there's only going to be a handful of people it could be. So there's not really many options. I always tell people what we've been telling people is that you can either go through host compliance, report anonymously. Otherwise, you can do a non-emergency police report for something. But there's not really an option for if you don't really want to report, but it's bothering you. At that point, that's just something you should just go and talk.
So can they call the town and say, I would like to know who the property manager is and a contact phone number, and I would like to have the phone number for the owner of the property for a contact, to call them directly?
I'm not sure if we give out that information or if we would call on their behalf. Oh, then if it's public record, then yes.
Property manager, probably. The phone number, we'd have to investigate that.
So that is an option other.
No phone number of
Yeah.
of any person.
Right, no, it would have to be a property manager's number that you were giving out.
At what point would that be considered that you're, I mean, I guess I'm curious too, because there's talk too where it's like if the same person is calling day after day after day, the garbage can at the end of the driveway is not being picked up, and that evolves into nuisance after nuisance after nuisance, just to get somebody to lose their short-term rental license versus something that's a valid concern. At what point does it become badgering that you're calling the town, you're calling host compliance? I understand there's valid concerns and then there's invalid concerns. So how do you separate the two, and at what point does the town draw a line that they're not getting involved in the midst of a complaint process of someone that just doesn't want that next door to them? So you can get into a real gray fuzzy area that creates a problem, and there's really no other game in town too, because some of us have been doing research on this as well, and Grayness used to be a government platform for different types of things that they offered, and they bought host compliance, and host compliance is the big boy in town. So now there's very few other ones that offer, in fact, if you can find any at all, that do this type of service. So when you talk about enforcement, this is the only tool we really have available to us at this time. And I'm not trying to take up the ladies, I'm just telling you that the town is doing its best that it can as far as this is another enforcement issue. You have so much time, so much staff, so many people, and you try to separate the true nuisances, the true violations from the person calling every day, well, his garbage cans aren't picked up. So
It becomes very apparent very fast because often people who are doing that type of behavior where they are like a spam reporting, they will try to reach out to other departments. So if they're not getting the answer they want from host compliance, then they might go to Wendy, and then if they're not getting the answer from Wendy, then they'll call zoning, and it gets pretty obvious just like who's doing what type of reporting. It is, like you said though, it does get hard and does slightly clog up the reports if there are legitimate ones if we have someone who's reporting 10 times within 5 days.
And in respect for Chair Diana's question, it may not be the best tool we have, but it's really the only tool we have to assist us with what we're trying to do. But I mean, and it could be used differently, possibly better, possibly, but they're working at it and they're trying to do what they can.
And I can just read the last paragraph of the letter that goes out to everybody about short-term rentals for host compliance. It says, when a resident contacts host compliance through the 24/7 hotline, the emergency contact, so it would be the property manager or the 24-hour number that we're given, for the short-term rental in question will be contacted and given an opportunity to resolve the issue. If they're unable to resolve the issue in a timely fashion, host compliance will escalate the issue to the appropriate agency, whether that is law enforcement, zoning department, etc. Items that are not an immediate safety issue, such as a higher than permitted number of vehicles in the driveway, are sent to the town to follow up on the next business day. Non-emergent items such as these do not count against the property's limit of 3 violations in a 12-month period for revocation of license.
One other point, we're talking about complaints and stuff now, but host compliance also scours all these websites and informs the town who is renting and who has not come through to get the proper permits and get the proper licensing. So it's really a two-part process. And all I've heard here are the complaint issues. They're also helping us on the other backside, not letting people just put ads out on Craigslist and other Facebook, and notifying the town when they see property addresses that do come up within our town.
Thank you, Tom. That's a very valid point.
It monitors Airbnb, Verbal, all of that.
And-
Casa.
And that's where the big money, that's why we pay so much for them to keep an eye on the whole picture, where our internal people cannot go to all these different websites and look for people that are renting.
So that's one report we do get that's very important to us, is that there's people out there renting, and those might be the ones that are for a couple of nights at a time, and you don't know what they're doing, and they could say, oh, well, you're not getting the appropriate reporting, you're not getting the appropriate permitting, you're not getting the inspections done. These places might be unsafe, and God forbid somebody dies in a fire in a place that's not inspected. And so they report those to us, and we split that cost with Visit Rome. Tom sits on Visit Rome. They split that cost with us. It's not inexpensive to have this. So again, is it the best tool? No. Is it the only tool? Pretty much. And we're using it as best we can, and can we improve? But Taylor does bring up some good questions, and if I might, the property managers, if that's one thing we can consider further down the road, and no slight to anyone, but yeah, you can ask your next door neighbor, you can ask your cousin, you can ask your brother, you can ask your spouse that lives here and you work out of town to be your property manager. Is that something we give greater consideration to? Do we verify who these property managers are? Do we have greater expectations of them? Do they have to be certified? I don't know. That's just one thought I had. And another thing, these less than required number of nights, I don't know how we do anything different with that, or how we note that without people turning their neighbors in, but everything is complaint driven, and it's gotta be reported, and it's gotta be enforced. But the property manager situation is that we get to a point where we have a firm that you have to be part of a firm. It just can't be a relative or a friend or I don't know. Is that something that makes the process even more official? That was just one thought I had.
I'd like to bring up one thing. I think I've heard in the past that the system is working pretty smoothly. Is that correct? I mean, we aren't getting to that escalated area too often.
No, there's like, out of every, maybe there's 140 short-term rentals, something around there. I would say we have like issues with people like false complaining on maybe like 4 to 5 at a time. So it's not anything super crazy.
So it's working
Yeah.
the way it should.
And then whenever we do see that somebody, it pops up honestly like in a red triangle and tells us, hey, they're renting without a short-term rental license. When that comes through, then we go and we send a letter to host compliance, and host compliance is able to send it out and say, hey, you know, you're renting without a license, come in, get the proper paperwork, otherwise you're subject to citations, things like that, so.
Going probably weekly, monthly, you know, you get a little report that says how many of each and,
Yep.
yeah, so it's, yeah, so it's there, it's working. I mean, that's the important thing, it's working.
Yep, it's doing the monitoring it's supposed to.
By our placing these restrictions with regard to occupancy and number of cars in the parking lot, or the parking area, if there's a violation of that we're aware of, let's say they have 6 or 7 people in there and they're only supposed to have 5, what is that considered? What is that, can we remove the CUP because they're violating the CUP?
It would depend on the report. So if it is something like they have an excessive amount of cars and they're starting to like overflow into the street, that's something that you should be calling the police for and doing a report like that. And that would be count as a strike automatically, because any police validated one would be one of.
Well, that's not an emergency, so that happened, I did that one time.
Mhm.
And the police officer was down at the county courthouse in Adams, and there was no one available, and they did respond, but it was 2 days later, and there were no cars parking anywhere. But when I went past, they were all over the place, in the driveway, on the street, and there was no ability to, and because the officer could not see it, even though I took a bunch of pictures, it didn't count. So I don't know if there something else that can be done with, I don't think the parking qualifies. It's unless you have an officer that's real close that doesn't have anything better to do than count cars in a driveway. And the officer wasn't even aware of what our CUP said with regard to parking restrictions at the property. So there was some disconnect, and it was perplexing to me.
I think you gave us that information, didn't you, in your presentation? What counts for what?
Yep, it's like,
Parking is not one of them.
yeah, I would say parking would most likely be something you'd go for non-emergency, just because with there being an overflow of cars, that can be dangerous, especially if they're going into the road. I guess it's difficult if they were responding that late to your request. I know a lot of times these people are coming on the weekends. I would say if you notice that it's either a trend or you notice that's happening, that's something at that point where you could directly email it to the town and we would just investigate that way if you already tried to make a report to host compliance.
Yeah, because your best bet is to take, on host compliance, you can take pictures and you can upload pictures on that as well. So you go through that, it gives them 24 hours to try to resolve it. That's what host compliance does, reaches out to the 24-hour manager, gives them an option to resolve it, and if not, then it's forwarded to us.
So again, we got a system that works.
Nick?
Can I add?
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
please.
I think there's one other thing that maybe hasn't been mentioned there, and that is, in your approval, every time you have a conditional use permit, you adopt a findings of fact that sets certain conditions, right? Parking is one of those, so is occupancy. Just like we did today for a revocation for a certain time period of inactivity, there is a provision in our ordinance to potentially revoke a conditional use permit if there's a violation of conditions. It's why we do that and put certain conditions in place. So there's another avenue if we see that ongoing and as a concern, that would have the same kind of process that we saw today, and could potentially result in the revocation of somebody's conditional use permit.
Okay.
And just the other way, if you find that doing a calculation determines that occupancy might be pushing the limits, you can make a determination the other way. But with that being said, Lexi, is your presentation, was it a little bit different up on the screen versus?
Yeah, it grabbed one of my,
Okay.
it grabbed a different one than I meant to have it
Okay.
grab, but
Because there were a couple slides that were just a little different, so is that one a little bit more current than
Nope,
this?
your guys is a little bit more current, so it is the 3 police reported.
Okay, great.
So I don't know how it
Because I
grabbed
saw
that one.
3 up there,
Yep.
but I didn't see it in ours. Okay,
Yep.
alright, so this one's more current.
Yep, so that's gonna have the 3 police validated. That's the big difference between the two, honestly.
Okay.
But yes, it's either gonna be 3 like town notified ones or 3 police It doesn't matter which. It's a mixture of
Oh, here,
like
3,
one.
okay.
Yep.
I got behind on where you were. Yes, I see it now. That's where, okay. And then also on that one page, you had clerk treasurer, so now you can separate that. Just saying. We're making progress.
I made the packet before the special
I know.
meeting.
Alrighty. Thank you. This was very interesting, but if you could upload this when you have time and just, you're doing a great, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Both of you.
Okay, yep, I can put it on there. I'll put it with the host compliance and then.
And the phone number and,
Yep.
Can I just ask one question? In the 3 to 5 years that we've had host compliance and we've had short-term rentals, maybe it's 6 or 7 by now, has there ever been one that a town board has taken away? Has there ever been one with that many complaints on it? Because I don't recall one.
I don't recall one.
So then, to build on Paul's, the system, it's not the best system, but it's a good system, and our system is working, I guess, is what I was building on Paul's comment before. It's what we have to use. We have no choice about conditional use permits and short-term rental. But we've tried to implement a process that is fair to the citizens of Rome, treating all of them fairly. And so far, we've never had to take one away. I mean, unless they don't rent it, like we have coming up at the board, but that's totally different. Nobody's ever had that many complaints that we've had to yank one. So,
Now, sometimes after they've been warned, have 1 or 2 violations, they probably straighten out so that they don't have the 3rd one.
that's still, system's still working then.
The system's working.
Okay,
They
that's
know
the idea
somebody's
about it.
watching them.
did you have more questions or is there a
Nope.
situation that you wanna bring?
Nope. No, I just, sometimes I feel like we're spinning our wheels with putting on conditions because they're not readily verifiable. We don't get, if someone does call and have a complaint about something, but they don't wanna squeal on their neighbors, I just keep thinking there's gotta be, not just host compliance, but a secondary way that the people that don't want to squeal would like to rectify the situation without doing something like squealing or having the police involved, but just, and that's why I thought perhaps allowing them the ability on a website or whatever to see who the property manager is of that property, that they can call them directly.
But didn't you say it was anonymous when they go on host?
They
It can
They
be.
can be, they don't
It
have to
can
be.
be.
Or
well,
you can
that
put your
answers-
name.
Then they can go anonymous. Maybe it's 1 of 5 names.
Nick, what is the, I mean, can we open up the doors for something like that where we allow our citizens to start I mean, granted, the property managers are noted, but now like the one that was named tonight, that person's name's not on here, but that would be on the application in-house. I mean, do we start letting people contact each other? I
Well,
mean, do we
I think-
open up the doors for possible
I would just say.
anger issue? I mean,
I would
all
say
kinds of
maybe-
bad things to start happening between people?
I'll take a little bit different approach here. I think part of this, the complication that doing something like that could have is it complicates the internal process as well.
Yes.
Partially, and it's not a perfect process, but partially the process we have allows for some consistency between the police department, the zoning administrator, the clerk, to then have a different avenue that maybe they're not aware of
See, in a written record.
could create an issue if there is an escalation or a continuance of a problem. And then the neighbor comes back and tells us that, well, this has been ongoing. Well, we don't have any way of verifying that because it's been happening over here and it's completely outside. I get the concern, I do, but I think that we need to have some process internally to be able to follow it and document it, or the whole process falls apart and we might as well not have any conditions at all.
Staff needs to be involved, so we got a record.
Yeah.
It's one of those situations where
Anybody else have any questions or concerns, or no? Okay, do we have next agenda items?
Oh boy. So for the September 10th Plan Commission, as of right now, there is 2 site plan of operations scheduled. There is potentially going to be a third one. And then there is the potential for several short-term rentals, around 5.
That's more than several. Several is 3.
That's a few. A few is.
A couple.
Yeah.
A couple's 2.
So it's gonna be a little bit of a long meeting.
More than likely, yep.
Does everybody remember their mean English teacher?
What do you guys want on your pizza? All right.
And also, at some point, you had brought up conditional use permits, and I think we're getting to that point where if we talk about some of these things where they're pretty standard practice, maybe after we have our meeting on Friday too, we can turn those over to internal staff to approve the ones that are pretty standard practice. I mean, if they're check all the boxes and we could say, staff, you do this. If they're extreme exceptions and there's something that's just staff doesn't, they can bring those forward and say, okay, commissioners, you need to deal with this, we need your input on this. But if it's 5 parking spaces, 4 people in the house, I don't know, but if it's something beyond the normal, then it should come to plan commission, because we're gonna be looking at more and more, and then we've got site plan of operations and everything else. I think we've talked about this over and over until we turn blue.
Maybe when they start sending out future notices to surrounding 200 feet property owners, they can say, if you have any concerns, please respond back to me by such and such a date. And if you have nobody responding, then you could probably proceed in-house. And if you have some people responding, then maybe
Those come to
we
plan
come-
commission for the public hearings. That's a
Right,
good
but-
way to start dividing them up or something.
just to start it, but they're gonna have to have a date,
They have to get a solicitor response prior to.
such and such a date, so that she knows if it's coming to this or if it's going to her desk in-house.
Then we'd have to delay it maybe a couple weeks, so to speak, from where we are today.
It's
Does,
sort of just like issuing a garage permit. She can check all the boxes, and it all looks good,
is the
faith in them.
procedure for conditional use permit in our ordinances with regard to coming before plan commission, or?
But
Either,
that's what's
either you have a conditional use
suggested.
permit or you don't, and you can't, the conditional use permit process is with this body.
But it has been
Being clear
suggested,
on that. We can codify certain things, which is, I think, what you're suggesting.
yes.
I don't hear what you're suggesting to eliminate the conditional use permit process.
No.
No.
Just streamline.
We'd
Codify
have
some
to
of the,
modify.
Codified.
routine conditions is what I'm hearing. I'm not
Modify,
hearing to strip away the conditional use
No,
permit.
you codify to modify.
Modified.
So we'd have to
Codify the modification.
do the codify of the,
Consider codifying some of the conditions, yes.
are we talking about that next meeting, or?
If there's time, but it depends on how
I
many
don't think so,
short-term
not,
rentals.
Push it
not
to the
based on what I just.
Jerry, yeah, come on.
You got it.
She promised pizza.
We already got a
Pizza
couple
and
of site
we're in.
plans.
Nope,
Pizza
no
we're in.
pizza.
You might be able to get it in
Jerry
next
brings the
August.
Kool-Aid.
It would be a little bit too late to do it for September since the cutoff would be on the 22nd for me to do my
Yeah, we're-
posting. So
October's just fine.
yeah, so
How about
that's
next
what you guys
March?
choose. I can send out an email, I guess, and we'll figure that out.
Okay, next meeting date and time, September 10th, 2024 at 4 PM. All
And
right,
everybody, oh, one other note, please, Madam Chair. I sent everybody an email, so please read it and look at your dates for September. We got a really resounding, I forgot this, response to training. We've got 4 other municipalities that'll be joining us. They are so interested, for collaborating, some camaraderie. They've got issues very similar to ours with planning and zoning. They've got Board of Appeals, other things coming up. Big Flats, Monroe, help me, Nick.
Saratoga,
Saratoga?
Grand Rapids. Grand
Grand Rapids, thank you. You just roll right off the tongue. All our neighbors and friends. So we're looking at about 35 people including our town. Coming, Rebecca Roberts would be one of our trainers from UWSP, and it would be September 4th, or the 18th, or the 24th. To look at those Wednesday nights. Those were the only dates we could get Rebecca. So if you're interested in participating, either 4 or 5 o'clock.
Those were all September dates?
Yes. And it's about 3-hour sessions. It'll include a light meal.
But we're choosing one, correct?
One of those. Put them in the order of availability. So read your email.
Yeah, first, third, and fourth Wednesdays is the one, are the dates that are proposed.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right.
For that public service announcement.
Okay. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.